Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Texas demolishing the defending national champion Michigan Wolverines in Ann Arbor in the big house 31-12. This is your post-game show, post-game analysis. Happy to be here as a proud Texas fan who was right. I'd love for the Michigan folks that we interacted with throughout the week to pull up. Credit to you guys, 34 game regular season win streak, a lot of respect, national champs, like I said. But today was our day. Today was the day that we said Steve Sarkisian, this Texas football program, would send a message not just to Michigan, but to the rest of the country on what time it is in Austin, Texas. What an impressive performance across the board. Absolute execution, flawless execution. I mean, outside of some of the offensive line penalties, you couldn't be happier with the speed, the physicality, the football IQ, the awareness. Everything out there was flawless for Texas today. So hop into the chat. I'm very, very excited to break this game down. It's always dope when your football team goes out there in an environment like that and stands on business. And it starts with our quarterback, our leader, Quinn Ewers. I've been out here trying to talk to anybody willing to listen about the importance and the significance of Steve Sarkisian having a quarterback in year 3 in his system, understanding the nuance, RPOs, screens, everything that we throw out there. I tried to break this down even to Michigan folks that kept telling me, oh, y'all throw it around like Washington, throw it around Ohio State. No, we don't. And you saw today, again, we do try to maintain that 50-50 balance in marriage with our passing game and our run concepts. But Quinn Ewers today looked like the first overall pick of the 2025 draft. He was phenomenal. Ball placement, footwork, patience, decisiveness. The very first drive. Look, Texas should have had 7 the first drive on the catch to DeAndre Moore, if not for the Zebras interfering, or else the game could have been uglier than what it was. Let's also keep it a spade and keep it a buck here. But I am incredibly impressed with the focus and the execution of Steve Sarkisian's group. Pete Kwiatkowski's defense flying around. Remarkable performance. There's going to be conversations about this Michigan team and what they lost and all these things. And this is what we tried to say in terms of analysis. And the film don't lie. The film that we saw against Fresno State, the new starters on the offensive line, the lack of, as good as that Michigan defense is, some of the lack of speed in the back end, those were things to be exploited. Texas exploited those things. But going back to Quinn and setting the tone and coming back on the next drive and getting a touchdown to Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm, by the way, I told you guys before the season, if you follow my YouTube channel, would be one of the most important, impactful Texas Longhorn players on this team, replacing Jatavian Sanders and understanding the importance of tight end and Steve Sarkisian's offense, constantly running that 12 personnel. He came up big today. And it's not traditional 12, right, that you think of. We're spreading the field and finding matchups and dialing it up. But Quinn Ewers made his claim and his stake early for the Heisman trophy. When you understand, storylines, narratives, going into the big house and ending a 34-game win streak like that, and the manner and the poise in which he showed today, that speaks volumes. Now, obviously, he's going to have to dial it up throughout the season. Tough games ahead, some really good defenses ahead. But having that relationship with Sark, he's reaching that Matt Leinart level of understanding, that Carson Palmer level of understanding, where things are clicking, and he has the perfect combination of personnel around him with that offensive line that was out there moving people, looking for work, with those receivers out there who are where they're supposed to be, whether it's zone or man. Texas is so deep that they have freaking Ryan Wingo not even coming to the game till the third quarter, running reverses for 55 yards. That's how deep Texas is. Ryan Wingo on Michigan is their best player offensively, outside of Donovan Edwards, and maybe even him too. Best athlete for sure. That's how deep Texas is. Let's talk about the Texas defense. Flying around. That speed and physicality can scare people. And Michigan was intimidated. That Loveland fumble before the half, where he just coughs it up in the open field, that is because of intimidation and not understanding where guys are coming from, and guys getting walked down in the open field, guys playing in space effectively. This is some of the best defensive back play I've seen at Texas in a long time. Thank you, Andrew Makuba, for coming home. Thank you for coming home. This was Derek Williams' coming out party. 5-star safety out of Louisiana. Kid's an absolute dog. Andrew Makuba, again, potentially putting his name in the Thorpe conversation early. Again, it's early, but these guys are balling. They didn't give up a freaking touchdown to the fourth quarter. That's the first touchdown they gave up all season. So they went seven quarters, if you include the Colorado State game, with no touchdowns. This Texas defense is for real. The concern over the defensive tackles, the concern over losing a Jalen Ford, the concern over guys going to the NFL, look, they're only going to get better. They're still finding their rotation. A lot of these guys, the Jermaine Lolays, the Bill Nortons, the Surveyors of the world, these are guys that are still working into the rotation and getting comfortable. We're ramping into conference play. We're ramping into what these, the communication and guys playing next to each other. But this is how it already looks right now, because the culture's been established in Texas. And that is credit to Steve Sarkisian and what he's built and being able to take that on the road, because they always say run game and defense travels. And Texas, did they have a dominant run game today? No, but it was good enough where it needed to be, and they stuck with it. Regardless of the Jaden Blue injuries or getting nicked up, Trey Wisner in there, standing on business. Offensive line in there, standing on business. Setbacks with penalties. Having the mental toughness to, hey, you know what? Dang it, it's annoying, but we got to execute on a 2nd and 12, 3rd and 13. Every time they were picking those things up. And so that's very encouraging for what's to come to the rest of the season. If this team really just can stay the course and stay focused, they're scary, folks. This is one of the fastest, most explosive teams in the country on both sides of the football. We're trying to tell y'all. We're trying to tell y'all, Michigan fans. This ain't your mama's Big Ten where we can just line up and turn around and hand the football off 50 times and try to control the clock. That won't save you. And that obviously didn't save you today. They obviously need to find a quarterback and figure out what their situation is. But Texas is going to make a lot of teams look like that this year. I tried to tell people that during the Colorado State game. And I'm going to share some of the stats, because the statistical output from today, the numbers reflect as well, right? I mean, when you look at time of possession, the way Texas dominated, very, very impressive. Hook 'em, Smoke Show. Hook 'em. I'm on cloud 9 right now as a Texas fan. But Sark, what he put together, opening script, leveraging the defense, Wink Martindale. We talked about simulated pressures earlier in this week. He exploited a lot of that stuff, finding those holes underneath, replacing the blitzer in space with those blockers, whether it was the running back, whether it was the receiver, and they were very timely play calls as well. Very, very timely. I felt like Quinn made good decisions when to throw the ball away. He had some risky throws here and there that Michigan could have made plays on and maybe should have made plays on. But for the most part, he kept it clean, and he showed you some high-level NFL throws. The ball right before halftime rolling left, where he drops it to Matthew Golden, who Matthew Golden has just become a touchdown machine. He's become our A.D. Mitchell from last year, who just is always open in the end zone. but putting it perfectly on that outside shoulder. Perfect zip on the football. That's one thing Texas fans, we've talked about. Quinn's great with lobbing it and dropping it in the bucket, but when he needs to put mustard on it and throw a dart, he's doing that now. And he did it repeatedly throughout this game. The first ball, look, that first down sent a message. The first ball he threw to Isaiah Bond deep down the field. I thought that mentally it got Texas juiced up. That was when the Michigan crowd, the atmosphere was at its loudest. That's the most difficult time as a opponent on the road to compete under those circumstances. And they freaking nail that ball down the field to Isaiah Bond, big play to keep the things moving. And I know Texas did not convert. They ended up missing a field goal on that drive, but mentally it got Texas going. Mentally, it got them locked in. Three things right off the bat, right? Speed, right? We talked about this. Speed and space. Second thing, we talked about Sark and how multiple he is conceptually. And number three, the overall experience of this Texas group. They have been in battles together. They are, regardless of the 11 guys that went to the league, this team is deep. Guys are battle tested, especially on that offensive line with the quarterback. They were ready to handle these atmospheres. I told you guys, experience-wise, this was not as difficult a trip going to Ann Arbor as it was to Tuscaloosa dealing with Nick Saban and that crew last year. This was not as difficult a trip. We said that. And that proved out to be true, right? So speed and athleticism in space, right? The experience aspect of everything, man, just impressive what Texas was able to do today. And sending that message of intimidation to folks around the country. Let me share my screen real quick because I am, I like to kind of analyze the box scores, in terms of does the numbers match up with the story. Look, Quinn Ewers coming in here, turnover free, 3 touchdowns, 246. Davis Warren, a lot of those yards were late in the game, right? Ryan Wingo ends up leading us in rushing with that big 55-yarder, but Jared Gibson, the yards per carry aren't impressive, but we were picking up 3rd and 2s. We were picking up 3rd and 1s. We weren't getting into hostile type scenarios where we have to go wildcat and bring in all this personnel to get by. They were money with those dirty yards. And that's with Blue fighting through and battling injuries. So while the rushing numbers for Wisner, Blue aren't sexy, even Gibson, it's the situation and understanding the context and nuance of when they were running, and that keeping Michigan honest for play action, right? I mean, look at this. 18 plus 9, 27. So you have 31 rush attempts to 36 pass attempts. 31 rush attempts to 36 pass attempts. I talked to y'all about Sark staying balanced. He's not going to go lopsided one way or the other. And that's what you're seeing here right now, right? Also, Michigan just not getting going. Donovan Warren not even getting 8 carries. Alex Orji, they were all over that package whenever he came in. Very predictable, in my opinion, from a play calling perspective. Clearly, Texas was ready for the smoke there. And then we talked about last week, 10 different guys catching a pass for Texas. Here we have, now it wasn't as big a group, but a lot of guys were targeted. But Wyatt, Blue, Golden, Bond, and more would have probably worked in the second half if the game was competitive. Obviously Texas trying to run clock and get out of there and secure the victory, which they did. I think if this was a full game of passing and really moving the ball and whatnot, you probably see more guys, involved. Drew Yanez, absolutely. Gunnar Helm stepping up. He's been in this program for several years. He was a receiving tight end coming out of high school who was waiting, right? I mean, you had a 5-star top 10 player out of Denton Ryan and Javian Sanders, who, by the way, is going to be starting for the Carolina Panthers tomorrow against the New Orleans Saints. at tight end in week 1 of his rookie season. That's the guy who Gunnar Helm was behind. And so that rapport that he also has with Quinn Ewers as his safety blanket, it reminds me of David Thomas and Vince back in the day, having that old reliable guy that can beat man coverage, can work across linebackers and get upfield and get first downs and keep the chains moving, right? And then coupling that with the speed on the back end with Bond and Golden. This receiving crew is only going to continue to evolve throughout the season. I know Jonte Cook had a catch too, so I think we're missing some numbers here, honestly, because Jonte Cook caught a ball over the middle as well that I saw. But overall, the Michigan guys, we knew about Loveland, but we knew who else were they going to threaten us down the field with. Freddie Moore's not going to beat me, respectfully. Bell's not going to beat me, respectfully. No. Jahdae Barron, Malik Muhammad, Gavin Holmes, Andrew Makuba, Michael Taft, Derek Williams, Jelani McDonald. We too deep back there. That's a too deep I just rattled off, right? Jalen Gilbo, who's having already starting off having a heck of a season playing star. Yeah, I gotta wait for these stats to load up. They're not all the way here yet. These are stats we got to get cleaned up, but remarkable effort across the board. A lot of people, Drew, it's funny you bring this up. He said, oddly enough, this game kind of reminds me of the Ohio State game in Austin when they beat us after they won the Natty. And that Ohio State team, by the way, back in 2006 ended up playing in the national championship before they were obliterated by Florida. That Ohio State team played up against that Texas team that had freshman Colt McCoy. The team was still pretty much intact, but they came in Austin and handled business. I thought Texas looked even more dominant today than Ohio State looked in that game. That Ohio State game was at least somewhat competitive. This game today, in my opinion, from the opening snap was not competitive. This was not a competitive football game. Michigan got their ass whooped. Okay, let's keep it a buck here. I think if you're being honest as a Michigan fan, you can see that as well, right? I mean, if we go into just overall team stats here, that's what I was looking for. Third down, Texas 10 of 16 on third down today on the road. 10 of 16 on third down today on the road. I mean, come on. Come on. I'm very excited for how this team continues to grow. Some of the younger guys come on. Texas there's still things, if I had to nitpick, obviously the communication on the offensive line and the undisciplined penalties, definitely got to clean that up, especially in a tighter game that will bite you in the ass. The defensive line still coming along, but pass rush wise, outside of Colin Simmons, I want to see more from guys. I know those Michigan tackles are pretty good, even if they're new, and they're tough to get around and pass pro. But I thought we'd be able to tee off a little bit more, especially not blitzing as much. And the cool thing is, if we're able to develop that, Texas is going to be really dangerous pass rush wise, without really having to force a whole bunch of pressures or get exotic. The only one they got exotic on that I really saw late in the game was Taft splits up the middle, where Davis Warren probably made his, probably second best throw of the day to Morgan down the field on fourth down. But Texas really had a lot of that locked up. Michigan 3 for 12 on third down. Yeah, 7 penalties for 45 yards. Definitely got to clean that up. But the turnover battle, we won. The battle at the line of scrimmage, Texas won. Texas won the line of scrimmage today. And I've been doing this thing since the beginning of the Tom Herman era, and I've had many tough streams. Look, we're the same school. I was on here when Maryland had a home and home with another Big Ten team in Maryland, and we went and embarrassed ourselves. So the culture aspect and how far Steve Sarkisian has come with this program. When they went to Arkansas and got mollywopped back in 2021, they've grown up. This group, these are his kids. This is his the way he's put this coaching staff together. I have to give a lot of credit right now to Coach Tashard Choice, our running back coach. Next man up mentality in that room, and guys just flat out executing. Ball security was on point today. Didn't have any issues with fumbles, or pass pro challenges. They just did their job when they were in there, whoever was in there, including the freshman, Jarrett Gibson. But Texas put the country on notice today, folks. If you're out here and you're a Georgia fan, if you're a OU fan, if you're a Texas A&M fan, we coming for you. It's on site at this point. That's how good these guys look. And they've looked like that at home. They've looked like that at neutral site, and they look like that today. This is a different bunch and a very, very explosive Texas team. So, I think that the country is going to be aware. Now, Texas is ranked number 3 right now. We'll see where that movement comes, if there's any. I really don't care too much right now, especially in a 12-team playoff scenario, other than just accruing that bye. But right now, I would say Texas looks like the best team in the country. I am biased. Obviously, I'm sitting here covered in burnt orange and drinking the burnt orange Kool-Aid. But if objectively speaking, chat. Objectively speaking, if you're not a Texas fan or you're a Big Ten fan or another SEC fan, you tell me how Texas looks. You tell me if that's not a complete football team. You tell me if they don't have they're not getting good quarterback play. You tell me that they're not explosive. You tell me that you don't see a defense flying around, physical, fast, smart, communication, locked in. Every single aspect. They were really clean on defense, even penalty-wise. A lot of the penalties were on the offensive line that they got to clean up. But defensively, you don't see guys getting face mask penalties late, hands to the face. And here's the other thing, too. Another thing that set the tone for me in this game was the play when Quinn Ewers ended up taking a knee inside it was a miscommunication or whatever, blown play. He takes a knee. He gets late hit by a couple Michigan defensive linemen. And Jake Majors, Hayden Connor, that Kelvin Banks, and that offensive line, they let Michigan know what was up. They ended up getting offsetting unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, but they fought for their quarterback. And they didn't do that 2 years ago when Hudson Card got hit late and he was laying on the ground. And the offensive line looked like they weren't even aligned with him. And that's not a shot at Hudson Card. That's just the football culture wasn't what it needed to be. Because I was taught if you're a good team and your quarterback get hit like that, it's time to fight. We got to let them know. And I saw that today. So when you look to check a box of what a national championship contender looks like, what box does Texas not check? You may think I'm selling you burnt orange Kool-Aid, but did you hear me at the beginning of the week on these streams? I'm here on Wednesdays at 5 covering Texas. Go back and watch that stream. This is the same energy I had. I looked y'all dead in the camera, and I was conservative with my pick. Some of y'all talked to me. Oh, Steve, you got him covering. You got him winning by double digits. Yeah, and it was worse. Yeah, I had him winning by double digits. Yeah, I saw the film and I saw the speed discrepancy with Michigan and what these boys from Texas were bringing. And I knew how physical Texas was. Trust your eyes. What do your eyes tell you about the Michigan quarterback play? if you're being honest, Michigan fans. They may need to look at Jaden Davis or somebody else in that room the rest of the way or before they get into conference play, because Michigan's not going to win the Big Ten with that. Michigan's not going to win the Big Ten with that. As good as that defense is, they're not going to win the Big Ten with that. But blame Texas too for them looking that way. And the overall business-like mentality. Look, when Texas, the rest of the way that Texas preps for Michigan, the way they need to give, and the way they prep for Bama last couple of years, that's the same treatment that Texas needs to be given to OU, by the way, come second week of October, especially coming off a bye week. Because if you look at this schedule coming up, they play UTSA next week. That's going to be an opportunity to do your work early, put some numbers up, have fun at home, enjoy that coronation of that road win at Michigan, beating the national champs, but also getting Arch and those guys some work and having some fun. Beat up on you, and UTSA is not bad, but that's a team you should beat up on. Beat up on ULM and General Booty the next week. And then you open up conference play with the Mississippi State team, Jeff Lebby and those guys, and then you get a bye week before Oklahoma. So that next big game, just looking ahead a little bit, they need to give OU that same level of treatment, because we got to get it back in blood against them. But as for today, if you're a Texas fan out there, enjoy this. Enjoy these moments, because I remember how much I enjoyed going to Ohio State, going to the Horseshoe in Columbus in 2005 and beating those guys. And that was an amazing football game against A.J. Hawk and them boys. But I remember what that felt like, because we took the time to really enjoy it. And this is why we love college football. This is why I'm here as a fan, just talking with you guys on the stream, because these moments of seeing your team finally hire the right guy, finally get the program back on track, finally get the guys in here that are putting it on the line for Texas, and they go out there and produce and make you proud. And we look good in front of company. We look good on the national stage. The SEC, by the way, was 1-3 in marquee games last week. This was a big game. Top 10 matchup, number 3 versus number 10. And Texas looked like they took care of Michigan the way Georgia took care of Clemson and Dabo and them, in a more impressive fashion, because it took Georgia a half to get going offensively. Texas didn't even punt in the first half. Do you hear what I said? Texas did not punt in the first half against that Michigan defense. Well, did you hear Will Johnson's name called today? Don't worry, I'll wait. Did you hear Will Johnson's name called today? I know I saw Mason Graham out there sucking wind. I know I saw that. Wasn't that guy MVP of the national championship game? Great player, All-American, respectfully. But we running power into the end zone, and Jake Majors running downfield looking for work with 2 knee braces on, as Jared Gibson goes to the end zone almost untouched. That's what time Texas was on today. I'm just trying to tell y'all. Texas fans know what's up. I'm talking to the rest of you guys, especially some of you Michigan folks that talked about physicality, talked about getting punched in the mouth. Look, we know ball. Tape don't lie. Tape don't lie. I try to be objective and honest with my team, especially if I'm talking publicly on a forum like this. Thank you to Bleacher Report. It's been amazing just being on here. But this Texas team is for real. They're one of, if not the best team in college football right now. And they sent a message, and they're a scary team. Texas is scary good. Texas is scary fast. Texas is scary deep. All of it. They check every box of what a true national championship contender looks like. I did not have those nervous, oh my God, what's my team going to do today? I knew they were coming up there to send a message. You could feel it. It's a different Texas team. It's a different Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers of experience, snaps under his belt. You're going to see that kid in New York. Health willing. All of this is health willing, right? And staying the course. But very, 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 very impressive overall performance by the Texas Longhorns going into Ann Arbor, 31-12 victory over the defending national champions, a team that's won 34 straight regular season games. Steve Sarkisian, the one remaining coach at his program that remains from last year's college football playoff. Continuity matters as well. And you're seeing that play out with beautifully in Texas with what Sark is doing. So you guys hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought of today's demolition of the Michigan Wolverines. Today's surgical masterpiece of a performance by Quinn Ewers and this Texas offense. You let me know where you have them ranked. Right now, they'd be my number one. But we got to go out there and prove it on the field every single week. Thank you for everybody that has, come my way on YouTube and subscribed to Fanatic Perspective. Appreciate it, each and every one of you. Appreciate Bleacher Report yet again. Guys, I can't wait to say it. Remember, horns always up. Hook 'em.